If any event represents the flavor of the Stanford movement as it developed over the years, it's the AEL sit-in.
People were walking by the Applied Electronics Lab and they were noticing that there were armed guards there. So one day we decided to go find the provost who was in charge of research. And we said, well, what is going on here that you, and he said, it's defensive weapons, they're ECMs, those are electronic countermeasures. They are used by our bombers to jam enemy radar so that the bombers can get through and bomb sites in Vietnam. If you call that defensive, you're out of your mind. We decided we really had to do something that would bring it home to more people on the campus.
We called a community meeting in Dinkelspiel Auditorium for April 3rd. And at that meeting, we adopted a series of demands about getting Stanford out of Southeast Asia and end to chemical and biological warfare, of an end to classified research on campus. My goal that night was to come up with a name. I pushed for the April 3rd movement and A3M as the abbreviation.
From there, the A3M started thinking, well, what can we do that will, A, build our movement on campus, and B, hurt the war effort? And taking over the AEL was the next step.
I know we were prepared because we had a key to the building. One of the workers had given us a key.
We get in there and discover two things. One was that in the sub-basement of this building, there were these massive Heidelberg printing presses and 1 million pieces of paper. So we produced a 10-page daily brief that was distributed by our volunteers to every dorm in the campus. So we had our own daily newspaper. And so we had this enormous communication advantage. A good chunk of it was being deliberately mislabeled. And the whole thing had been whitewashed and sanitized and treated as if it were innocuous civilian research, and it was actually applied military research. And of course, we reproduced the documents in these daily news. Yeah.
And we started to get support from various groups on campus, academic, graduate student departments, fraternities. So one by one, the fraternities would adopt resolutions and they'd have signatures of their members.
There was this guy that came in and he really wanted to help, but he didn't know what to do. He says, well, I believe what you're doing is right. He says, but how can I help? And I said, well, we got a kitchen in there that gets used every night for food. Usually it's got to get cleaned up. The guy disappears. He comes back an hour later and he's dressed up like a janitor and he charges in the kitchen and he's having a ball doing what he likes to do and we need done. And I thought, wow, what a perfect match.
There was a wedding that took place during that 9 days. There were Black Panthers who came.
Bobby Seale came down from Oakland. Bobby Seale was a Black Panther leader. We were a bunch of white students from elite universities. We're nothing like the Black Panthers, but a lot of us thought they were heroes. That was kind of inspiring.
People slept on the roof, they slept in the hallways, broke bread together. So that this whole flavor was not one of confrontation.
I think there was a real esprit de corps and a sense of unity, and that it was something really important that we were doing, that I felt like this was the right thing to do, and that it built a kind of community in the process.
And there were some professors who were very sympathetic to our cause, and that really dovetailed with what we were learning in the classroom. It was an incredible time to be here and to be alive and to be in college.
President Pitzer threatened to bring in the local police to arrest students engaged in an illegal building occupation. A3M put out a call for students to sign a statement that they too were occupying AEL and were willing to be arrested. 1,400 signed the solidarity statement.
Ultimately, we ended up making a deal, which we would end the sit-in, I think it was after 9 days, in exchange for the university holding a campus-wide referendum on the issues of war research and the relationship with the Stanford Research Institute.
There are faculty members who are always trying to get us out, negotiating with us. But eventually, I'm not sure the timing, but I remember it was probably, Jeannie said, looks like people want to leave the building. And there was a bit of a threat, but it was more either the faculty had voted or there was a promise that they would vote to outlaw classified research.
The empowerment of, again, being outside of the AEO and seeing everybody raise their hands to end the occupation because they'd gotten some action. I think that's my strongest memory